I've always felt like St. Patrick's Day had the potential of being a lot better than it is. I mean, it's fine enough as it is, but just a day where you wear green, it really isn't that special. And since I always like trying to improve holidays and haven't really done much for St. Patrick's Day in the past, I figure this year is the year to change that. Hopefully. As of right now, I actually have no idea what I'm going to do for St. Patrick's Day, but if you're seeing this video, then it probably turned out well. Or I just spent a long time on it and decided to edit it even though it's terrible. I have no idea yet. After a long and careful calculations of the possible tones, I eventually ended up with two possible options. The first is a dark blue. It doesn't take away too much from the green, and it could mainly work as the colors for the shadows and stuff. And the second color I chose was the same one I chose in the Valentine's Day video, brown. Except this time it's a bit more blue and faded, as to not take away from the important green. Though I need to make sure I don't keep adding brown to all these holiday improvements, or else it's going to be overused. But I can't think of many other options, and green and brown just look the best together. That's why all the trees choose it. They know what looks the best on them. Let's start with the most iconic part of Patrick's Day, the clovers, or shamrocks. I kinda just thought they were the same thing, but they're not. This is a shamrock. It's got those bumpy edges, kind of like if you stuck three hearts together, while a clover is just round, or at least more round than a shamrock. Though they're both considered lucky, so it doesn't matter too much which one you use, though it's good to keep in mind that four-leafed shamrocks don't exist, unless no one's ever been lucky enough to find one. Speaking of luck, the chances of finding a four-leaf clover is around 1 in 5,000. So, considering how many clovers there are, not that impossible. Like, if you went looking for a four-leaf clover every time you saw a patch of clovers, you'd probably find one before too long. And the chances of finding a five-leaf clover is 1 in 24,000. And if you dare attempt to find a six-leaf clover, that's 1 in 312,000. And I guess no one's ever been lucky enough to find a seven-leaf clover, since I didn't find anything on that. I really need to find a way to incorporate luck into St. Patrick's Day 2.0, because luck is like a main thing about St. Patrick's Day, other than the green of course. But showing luck is kinda tricky, so I'm not sure how to do that yet, but I'll think about it. Green is of course the heart of St. Patrick's Day, but how did it start? As I was looking this up, I actually laughed out loud at this. Alright, so do you remember how I decided that blue would be the secondary color? Well, I didn't know anything about this at the time, but apparently the earliest depictions of St. Patrick show him wearing blue. This is because St. Patrick didn't actually wear green. That was all added later. And in the 16th century, blue was the color of the Ireland flag. And when a new chivalry was made, the official color for it was called St. Patrick's Blue, which is this color. It wasn't until like the 17th century that the flag was changed to green. Then, over time, green became more associated with Ireland, but St. Patrick didn't actually wear that. Now, I don't think I'm personally going to be using this exact blue color, but it's good to know I was actually on the right track with this whole blue thing. I love when things like this happen. Also, that flag, the one that changed from blue to green, has a golden harp in it. Remember that because it's going to come up again later. Something kind of interesting that St. Patrick apparently did is banish all the snakes from Ireland, which is apparently why snakes can't be found there, which seems kind of rude. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like snakes, but I think they're kind of cute looking. They just kind of always look like they're smiling. Also, I don't know how he was supposed to have banished every single one, but I don't think you're supposed to question that part. So then, where does that whole pot of gold thing come from? Apparently it's Irish folklore, about where fairies hide a pot of gold at the end of each rainbow, which sounds pretty hard, along with having a huge exploitation problem. Like, what counts as a rainbow? Does turning on a hose count? Because it's not that hard in the right sunlight to just turn on a hose and make a rainbow. Maybe it just depends on the size of it. But what about those round rainbows? Because as it turns out, all rainbows are actually round. They just get cut off before you can see the rest of them. Unless maybe that's it. Maybe we're just looking in the wrong spot, and it's been in the center of rainbows the whole time. I hadn't really associated fairies with St. Patrick's Day, but St. Patrick's Day really seems to just have a lot of Irish folklore stuffed into it. It's really more a day about celebrating Ireland than it is that St. Patrick's guy. Just like how Valentine's Day is about love, not St. Valentine's. No one actually cares about St. Valentine. No one even remembers who he is, which is kind of sad, but true. Same with St. Patrick's. Sure, there's a bit more information about him than Valentine, but not that much. It has a lot more to do with Irish folklore and magic, so I think it's best to start going down that route and see what other Irish folklore there is. Alright, so as you can imagine, there are quite a few different Irish tales, so I just picked out the ones that I thought were kind of interesting. Alright, so first there's the Selkie, also known as the Seal people. It's basically a weird Irish version of a mermaid. In the water, they're just seals, but they can change into people on land, and apparently they're irresistible to normal people, who would just fall in love immediately. Like, I get seals are cute and all, but that's a bit weird. And apparently, when a Selkie turns into a human, they have to take off their seal skin. And if you can find that seal skin and hide it, the Selkie can't turn back into a seal. Which, personally, it kind of just sounds like this myth started when a bunch of people just started dressing up as seals. And then to get them to stop, they had to hide their costumes or something. Like, oh, there's Granny again, dressing up like a seal and calling herself a Selkie. I don't know, it just doesn't sound very mythical. There's also a story about a creature known as the Dullahan. Not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Which basically sounds like the Irish version of a headless horseman. He was a dark figure without a head, either riding a black horse or driving a horse-drawn carriage through graveyards at night. I really feel like this type of tone fits well with St. Patrick's Day, though perhaps it's getting a bit creepy. Also, something that's often considered in Irish folklore is that butterflies are lucky, and they're actually souls waiting to be reborn on Earth, with the ability to travel between worlds, whatever that means. I'll keep this in mind, as butterflies are really not that hard to add to anything. Oh yeah, and remember that flag before? The one with the harp? There's a story about that. Apparently there was a guy called Dagda who had a very nice harp that would summon each season. So as far as harps go, kind of important. But then one day it got stolen by some evil gods, and basically in the end Dagda manages to get the harp and return joy to Ireland. Now of course I'm skipping over a lot, but there's a lot of alterations of the story. It basically just goes, guy has really cool harp gets stolen, people are sad, guy gets harp back, and everyone claps. The end. So, while I didn't exactly find much from the research of Irish folklore, I feel like I have a general idea of what I want to do. I think I just really need to lean into that mystical, magical fairy tale feel. Now, there's no magic in Blobby Adventures, so it won't be real magic, but like a wizard hat or some potions. I was also thinking about how to incorporate gold and luck and such, and then I kind of went down the road of alchemy and turning stuff into gold. Still not exactly sure how I'm going to fit this all into a holiday, but I'm going to spend a few days thinking this over, and then I'll start the painting, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so, here's what I got. There's still a lot of blanks that I unfortunately just don't have the time to fill, but I think I've got the overall tone. I'm thinking something along the lines of a day where you go hunting for treasure, like looking for rainbows as indication, like perhaps they can lead to treasure. Also, because there would be rainbows, the weather would also have to be rainy or like a bit stormy. It would also have to be very lush, wet, and of course green, but also a lot of blues for the shadows. And I imagine the way people would look for treasure would probably be by trying to use more mythical or magical items. Now, there's no magic in this world, but it would just be for the aesthetic. Just like a day version of Halloween. You know, that's actually like a really good way of thinking about it. It's like the natural daytime version of Halloween. Still a little bit creepy, with the fog and rain and such, but mainly focusing on the magical and mythical side of it. Imagine a lot of strange reports of things would come in on this day, though no one can ever prove if they're real or not. Also, as you can see, I couldn't fit everything into the same picture, so I split it up into two, and I think they get the tone across nicely. I still feel like this theme is lacking quite a bit, but it's definitely an improvement from the original. And of course, improving an entire holiday can't be done in a single year, and I'll definitely be working on this holiday more next year. The question is whether or not I make a video on it, which probably comes down to whether or not these videos do well, because I really like doing them. I don't know why, I just always like doing stuff with holidays. Anyways, that's it for Patrick's Day. Wait, no, actually I just remembered something. I wanted pancakes to be a part of Patrick's Day, because pancakes sound similar to Patrick. Shoot, I need to write this down for next year.